The word Einstein is now used as a synonym for genius. But what truly made him unforgettable? Was it his intelligence, his perseverance, his discoveries? How did Einstein describe the universe with such clarity and precision? Why couldn't anyone do it before him? Hello everyone, and welcome to our channel's second video, the Albert Einstein episode. Today, we dive deep into the life of Einstein. Everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy, this is physics. Albert Einstein. His hair was disheveled, his eyes stared into the distance. A man lay on his deathbed at Princeton Hospital. The four fluids entering his veins seemed to drip more slowly than the clock ticking on the wall. The room was silent, but not empty. It felt as if the universe itself was holding its breath, listening. As Albert Einstein waited for his final moment, his hands still held scribbles, numbers, arrows, half-finished equations, a language both familiar and utterly foreign. They were traces of a mind that had tried to explain the universe, and the final struggles of a man who never managed to fully understand his own life. And at that moment, one question becomes impossible to ignore. How could a man who unlocked the secrets of the cosmos fail to open the door to his own home? This is not merely the story of a genius rising. It is the story of a human tragedy, where intelligence was not enough to create compassion, and knowledge did not guarantee love. And the irony is this: at the center of this tragedy was time, the very thing Einstein bent, reshaped, and made relative throughout his life. But like every story, this one begins with a childhood, a quiet childhood, a strange childhood, a childhood that made everyone uncomfortable. Albert was born in 1879 in the German city of Ulm. From the very beginning, he worried his family. His head was unusually large. When his mother Pauline held him in her arms, she couldn't shake the fear rising inside her. "There's something wrong with this child," she once whispered. No one knew what that would mean, but the real fear arrived years later. Albert did not speak. While other children explored the world through words, he seemed to choose silence. 3 years passed, then 4. Not a single word. Doctors shrugged. Relatives whispered. At family dinners, the same question circled the table. Is he slow? But no one realized that this silence was not emptiness. It was accumulation. Albert thought before he spoke, and he thought deeply. Years later, as an adult, Einstein would say this about his childhood. Before forming a sentence, I would turn it over and over in my mind. Words were never rushed. The mind had to weigh the universe first. School only made his strangeness more visible. The German education system was strict, rigid, and demanded obedience. Albert didn't want to obey. He wanted to understand. Teachers disliked students who asked questions. Albert never stopped asking. Why this way? Could it be different? What if the opposite were true? Those questions never echoed in the classroom because they were never allowed to. One teacher looked him in the eyes and said, "Einstein, you will never amount to anything in life." That sentence echoed in Albert's mind for years. Perhaps the first spark of defying the universe was born in that classroom. But the real breaking point was his endless war with authority. Uniformed teachers, memorized formulas, unquestioned truths. To Albert, all of it felt like a cage, and inside that cage he couldn't breathe. And then, something small entered his life, a compass. One day, his father pulled it out of his pocket and handed it to him. Albert stared for hours at the needle, guided by an invisible force. No one explained magnetism to him, but for the first time he felt the presence of unseen powers, invisible things. That was what truly fascinated Albert. As he grew older, failure became his label. He failed the university entrance exam on his first attempt. He attended the Zurich Polytechnic, but professors disliked him. He skipped classes and studied alone. His notebooks were messy. His mind was perfectly ordered. No one noticed. And then Mileva Marić entered his life. Serbian, intelligent, determined. A woman brave enough to pursue science in a man's world. When Albert first met her, he believed he had found more than a lover. He had found a mental partner. They solved equations together. They dreamed together. They formed a united front against the world. But no one knew that this partnership would slowly turn into a power struggle. After graduation, reality hit hard. Academic doors closed. Professorship dreams evaporated. Letters of recommendation meant nothing. Einstein looked nothing like a genius. Eventually, he took a modest job at a patent office in Bern. A desk, a chair, stacks of files. From the outside, he was just another clerk. But this ordinariness gave him something priceless. Time. And at that moment, unnoticed by the world, the fate of the universe was about to change. Because while Albert Einstein reviewed inventions by day, he rewrote the universe by night. But the storm had not yet arrived. 1905 was approaching, and the world had no idea what it meant. An ordinary year on the calendar, but in a dimly lit patent office in Bern, time had already begun to bend. Einstein went to work each morning, examined inventions, evaluated machines and devices. He took his job seriously, but his mind was elsewhere, chasing light. Why doesn't the speed of light change? Why doesn't time flow the same for everyone? And then he asked the question no one else dared to ask. What if I could ride on a beam of light? It sounded innocent, like a child staring at a compass, but the answer would shake the universe. That same year, alone and in silence, he wrote 4 papers. Each one destroyed a foundation of physics. Time was relative. Mass and energy were 2 forms of the same thing. Atoms truly existed. Light sometimes behaved like particles. E equals mc. A short equation carrying one of the heaviest meanings in human history. No applause followed. The papers were published. Academia shrugged. Einstein was still a patent clerk. Revolutions are sometimes silent, and that silence crept into his marriage. Mileva was no longer just a wife. She slowly faded into the background. Einstein rose. Mileva stayed behind. Her academic dreams died quietly. The home, the children, Einstein's restless mind, all rested on her shoulders. Their first child, Lisorel, vanished from history. No records. Some say she was given up for adoption. Others say she died young. The truth remained a wound in Mileva's heart. Then Hans Albert was born. Then Edward. Einstein explained the universe, but could not explain fatherhood. His letters to Mileva became cold lists, orders, silence, respect, a relationship without expectations, no love, no tenderness. And then he turned to other women. The betrayal was quiet, but devastating. Mileva eventually surrendered. The marriage collapsed. As Einstein moved toward fame, he left behind a shattered family. Einstein became world famous. Disheveled hair, sharp tongue, mocking smile. He won the Nobel Prize. Ironically, not for relativity, but for the photoelectric effect. Meanwhile, physics was taking a new path. Quantum mechanics. Young physicists spoke of uncertainty, probability, randomness. Einstein rebelled. God does not play dice. It was his declaration of a deterministic universe. But the universe did not listen. In 1933, Germany fell into darkness. The Nazis were in power. Einstein was Jewish. His name was on blacklists. And then he packed his bags. He fled to America, settled in Princeton, never returned to Germany. But he wasn't only fleeing the Nazis. He was fleeing his past, his family, his conscience. Einstein did not build the atomic bomb, but he opened the door. His letter to Roosevelt triggered the Manhattan Project. When Hiroshima and Nagasaki burned, Einstein felt profound regret. "The greatest mistake of my life," he said. Science was no longer innocent. His son Edward suffered from schizophrenia. He deteriorated in hospitals. Einstein never visited him. The man who saved the universe could not save his own son. Princeton Hospital. Einstein was dying. His final wish was simple: to be cremated and have his ashes scattered secretly. But no one could resist touching his brain. It was removed, cut into pieces, studied. No answer was found, because perhaps the mystery was never in the brain. Perhaps it was in the heart. If you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe.